monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined.
Open your mind. Halaka Media, the signature of quality and expression. Pioneering production. Trilling Dolby Pro Logic surround sound. Innovative, captivating. Compelling audio range. Open your mind. Open your mind.
Article 5 Convention of States. Instructions to take action. Step by step. 1. Read the Article 5 cite information and the 28th Amendment. To make sure you understand why all three offending amendments must be repealed, they all work together to limit rights. 3. Make a list of all local council elected officials and contact information. Forget the names and addresses of each member of your state legislators, including phone numbers. 5. Find the addresses for each of the party county offices, Democrat and Republican. 6. Download the brochures, either color or black and white, and ask local printers or copy shops to donate 500 copies. 7. Take or mail the brochures to council meetings and hand them out. Ask the council to speak on the issue if you like. 8. Take or mail the brochures to the office of every state legislator, including the governor and other officers. 9. Hand carry a brochure to every local newspaper, TV station, and radio station, asking them to support the cause. 10. Post a brochure on all public bulletin boards at stores and public buildings. 11. Leave copies in beauty shops, doctors' offices, and libraries if they allow. 12. Now start a phone contact program calling a few state legislators each few days until all have been contacted. 13. Ask the local Tea Party, Libertarian group, party office members to help contact the legislatures. 14. This project is bipartisan as it involves saving the republic and giving the power back to the states closer to us. 15. Now contact all the groups and grassroots supporters and hold local and state capital Article 5 demonstrations. 16. Keep emailing to the letters to the editors of the many papers in the nation. If millions email, they will take notice. 17. Every letter to the editor gets read by some employee of the publication, so keep writing. 18. Attend all party meetings and take handouts. Include any town meetings. 19. Post the Arctic Left Project or RestoreLiberty.com link in every social media or website you visit. 20. Hold your head up high as you are now an active part of a viable solution. You are a real patriot. Central banking has made various institutional appearances throughout the history of the United States. These institutions started with the first and second banks of the United States. which were championed in large part by Alexander Hamilton. The first Bank of the United States. The American financial system was deeply fragmented after the Revolutionary War. The government was burdened with large wartime debts, and the new republic needed a strong financial institution to give the country a resilient financial footing. Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson had opposing views regarding whether or not the U.S. could benefit from a European-style national financial institution. Hamilton was in favor of building a strong centralized political and economic institution to solve the country's financial problem. He argued that a central bank could bring order to the U.S. monetary system, manage the government's revenues and payments, and provide credit to both the public and private sectors. On the other hand, Jackson was deeply suspicious of a central bank because, he argued, it would undermine democracy. Jackson and Southern members of Congress also believed that a strong central financial institution would serve commercial interests of the North at the expense of Southern-based agriculture interests whose credit was provided by local banks during the post-Revolutionary War era. The first Bank of the United States was established in 1791, chartered for a period of 20 years. The U.S. government was the largest shareholder of the bank. Despite its shareholder status, the government was not permitted to participate in management of the bank. The bank accepted deposits, issued banknotes, and provided short-term loans to the government. It also functioned as a clearinghouse for government debt. The bank could also regulate state-chartered banks to prevent overproduction of banknotes. The bank was very successful in financing the government and stimulating the economy. In spite of its successes, hostility against the bank did not fade. Jacksonian supporters questioned the bank's constitutionality. In 1811, the first Bank of the United States failed to be renewed by one vote. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people, to whom it properly belongs. Thomas Jefferson and the debate over the recharter of the Bank Bill 1809. Executive Order 11,110. President Kennedy's Executive Order 11.110 gave the Treasury Department the explicit authority to issue silver certificates against any silver bullion, silver, or standard silver dollars in the Treasury. This means that for every ounce of silver in the U.S. Treasury's vault, the government could introduce new money into circulation based on the silver bullion physically held there. As a result, more than $4 billion in United States notes were brought into circulation into dollars and $5 denominations. $10 and $20 United States notes were never circulated but were being printed by the Treasury Department when Kennedy was assassinated. It appears obvious that President Kennedy knew the Federal Reserve notes being used as the purported legal currency were contrary to the Constitution of the United States of America. United States notes were issued as an interest-free and debt-free currency backed by silver reserves in the U.S. Treasury. We compared a Federal Reserve note issued from the private Central Bank of the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank a Federal Reserve System, with a United States note from the U.S. Treasury issued by President Kennedy's executive order. They almost look alike, except one says Federal Reserve Note on the top while the other says United States Note. Also, the Federal Reserve Note has a green seal and serial number while the United States Note has a red seal and serial number. President Kennedy was assassinated on November 22, 1963, and the United States notes he had issued were immediately taken out of circulation. Federal Reserve notes continued to serve as the legal currency of the nation. According to the United States Secret Service, 99% of all U.S. paper currency circulating in 1999 are Federal Reserve notes. Kennedy knew that if the silver-backed United States notes were widely circulated, they would have eliminated the demand for Federal Reserve notes. This is a very simple matter of economics. The U.S. cent was backed by silver and the FR cent was not backed by anything of intrinsic value. Executive Order 11,110 should have prevented the national debt from reaching its current level. Virtually all of the nearly $9 trillion in federal debt has been created since 1963 if LBJ or any subsequent president were to enforce it. It would have almost immediately given the U.S. government the ability to repay its debt without going to the private Federal Reserve banks and being charged interest to create new money. Executive Order 11,110 gave the USA the ability to, once again, create its own money backed by silver and realm value worth something. Again, according to our own research, just 5 months after Kennedy was assassinated, no more of the Series 1958 silver certificates were issued either, and they were subsequently removed from circulation. Perhaps the assassination of JFK was a warning to all future presidents not to interfere with the private Rothschild Federal Reserve's control over the creation of money. It seems very apparent that President Kennedy challenged the powers that exist behind U.S. and world finance. On November 22, 1963, JFK was shot dead in Dallas, Texas, in extremely strange circumstances. Phyllis Hall, a nurse who was part of desperate attempts to save the life of President John F. Kennedy after he was assassinated, has claimed he was shot by a mystery bullet. There is also strong evidence involving Lyndon B. Johnson, the following USA president, in the assassination conspiracy. List of U.S. presidents murdered by the Rothschild banking cartel.
Your secrets keep me peaceful. Your lies keep me safe. You are satisfied with my ignorance, and you are in control. But we aren't aware. We are anonymous. We do not forgive. And we do not forget.